long-term rates of interest are so high. Even the banana republics, as they were known, have improved and their rates of interest, long-term rates of interest, are not so high. A reduction of mere 1% augurs well for the industry, but it is not good enough. Another measure is for attracting foreign investors, foreign institutional investors. And for that purpose, the finance minister has reduced the short-term capital gains tax from 65% to 30%. And as you are aware, in the last budget itself, the long-term capital gains tax was reduced to 10%, and the dividend income, etc., is to be taxed at 20%. Now, how does this compare with other countries which have opened up their economies, and whether this will be good enough for the foreign institutions who receive better tax treatment in other countries, and there is also no set-off provided for the exchange loss they incur for the short-term gains or the long-term gains. And also, one wonders why the same facility is not given to NRIs or the overseas corporate bodies owned by the NRIs, when in fact these two categories can effectively contribute large investments both in primary and secondary markets. I would have wished that the benefits would have been also extended for the short-term capital gains tax to the NRIs. The estimate of $2 billion to be invested by the FIIs seems to be very optimistic, over-optimistic, since FIIs are known to take their own time to invest large sums. China, which opened up its economy and started its reform process way back in '79, started receiving investments of FII only in the late 1980s. We started our reforms in 85-86 with a break of nearly 2 years in 88 and 89. So really speaking, we started our reforms only in the right earnest in 1991. So will FIIs invest large sums immediately? Therefore, is it wise to depend only on the FIIs? Why not NRIs and the NRI companies by giving equal tax? This is something that I think needs to be done. The budget proposals not so friendly to the market. Let us examine them. The absence of certain measures which ought to have been done, along with freeing of the fully convertible currency, and were expected rightly so by the market this year, have not been done. So it is basically a positive budget, in my opinion, but it has not done something, it is not bold enough to introduce something that we expected naturally. The market, for example, expected removal of double taxation on dividend, as recommended by Chalaya committee. However, what we find in the budget is Section 80M has been amended, making intercorporate dividend on units of Unit Trust of India taxable in 3 years' time. This year, the benefit would be reduced to 80%, next year to 60%, thereafter nil. This has probably given wrong signals to the market, and UTI in some estimates will have to repay over 5,000 crores in the next 3 years. And with the result that UTI and other mutual funds, whether they will be able to invest large sums that are demanded by both the primary market and the secondary market. And also, whether we can expect the FIIs and others to compensate for the primary capital market size going up from 10,000 crores to probably 20,000 crores in the next year, and with the secondary market staying where it is, with the index not moving up. Now even the banks and the other public sector companies are proposed to come in the market, and they would raise large sums of money. And with this kind of a scenario, I thought a uniform concession to all mutual funds could have been given. As far as the double taxation on dividend is concerned, this is one single measure which can prop up the market tremendously while costing the exchequer a barely rupees 150 crores. If the finance minister wants the market to revive, we should collectively urge him, and I would urge the Bombay Shareholders Association, to move the matter so that this can be introduced this year only. Second, not so market-friendly measure is not granting either individual or corporate tax concession as promised in the last budget. Even the surcharge is not removed. on the income. However, he has carried forward the promise next year. Friends, in these days of uncertainty, can we hope for the same finance minister next year? Although one wishes that Sri Manmohan Singh, by act of parliament, is made finance minister for the next 3 years, regardless of change in the government. Third factor is that industry has not been granted exit policy. Again, an obvious requirement of a liberalized economic system. Perhaps political constraints are the reason for not introducing it this year. As far as the effect of various proposals on individual industries is concerned, I feel that while the long-term outlook is very bullish, the short-term outlook is average, except for export-oriented companies, which do not depend on imports to a great extent. Major beneficiaries of excise duty concession will be where recession has not hit hard. And the manufacturers, for example, for synthetic fiber in yarn, cosmetics, tea and coffee, where complete excise duty has been done away with. Plastics, electrical machinery would benefit more than, let's say, consumer durables, motor vehicles, paints, where recessionary trends will have to be reversed by price decreases. Cement, steel and tire industries will have to ride over the cost increases first, and recessionary trend on their own, and which may be helped even by the general revival following the economic revival. Perhaps companies with export potential in cement or tires will do better than others. The export-oriented industries like shipping, computer software, hotels, food and soya processing will be able to score handsome gains under full convertibility of the rupee and compensating the effect of duty reduction on the import components. My perception, friends, is that market behavior in the short run, that in the absence of additional soaps given to improve the liquidity in the market, which is the crucial factor, and because of the pressure of additional equity and high-priced issues in the market, they are going unabated, the market will pick up only gradually toward the middle of 1993. If the rain gods are favorable and exports pick up, recessionary trends are reversed and corporate results improve, I expect the market to boom by the end of 1993. I expect the index to hover around 2,200 to 2,800 up to June 1993 and thereafter go up to as high as 4,000 by the end of 1993. When the full effect of the budget will be felt. However, if political uncertainty prevails and other factors are unfavorable, index may not touch 4,000 and in fact it will come back to the present level. In view of the volatility of the market because of uncertainty factors, investors should exercise extreme caution in selecting companies where they can invest. Many primary market issues will give a good opportunity to invest, and except for where, as I said, unjustifiably high premiums are charged. As far as the secondary market is concerned, I think you should try to avoid the very high price shares unless they are backed with strong fundamentals. I would not like to name, I just asked for the permission of Dinesh Bhai because I have not taken any positions in any of these shares, believe me. But if you want to insist on the names, I could give a few names as an example. I do not mean that at the current price levels, they are necessarily a good buy. If you permit me, I'll give you a few names. And they should not be. Asha Brown Bovary, Tata Tea, ITC, Indian Hotels, Arvind Mills, ICICI, Shipping Credit. I don't think I am any prophet, sorry. Asha Brown Bovary, Tata Tea, ITC, Indian Hotels, Arvind Mills, ICICI, Shipping Credit, probably Reliance Industries also, Tata Power and Colgate. These are the companies where I feel because of the very strong fundamentals, they will not go down at least in the market value, if not go up. Among the low price shares, I would like to mention some of the names which some of you may not agree. Vinyl Chemicals is a low price share. Modi Cement, if there is a boom in the cement. Gujarat Fuel Bonanza, PSI Data because they're going to software. Bombay Paints, Vatsida Diesel, Digital Equipment, which is in my opinion a low price share today. Even Oswal Agro and Ruchi Soya. In conclusion, I feel that this is a good budget and will prove to be beneficial in the development of our economy. And in turn, let us hope it helps the capital market, growth of the capital market. So, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your cheerful speech. Everybody is cheerful after your recommendations of particularly 4,000 index. Those who were present yesterday afternoon, they went very much disappointed and pessimistic. And today, there is again a ray of hope. As an opening batsman, you have really made the point. Friends, now we have other two speakers now available with us. One is Mr. E. Rai and Mr. Talapsi Gosar. In selection also the speakers, we have applied a lot of thought and application of mind. How we have selected the speakers, I'll tell you also very short. That we have taken different segments of the capital market. We selected a few shareholders, then mutual funds, investment analysts, investment journalists, and one or two other sectors, and thus we thought that it will give the whole picture that will emerge at the end of this talk will be really a balanced picture of the future and the future of the market and the performance of the industries in the next coming 1 year. Now I will ask my colleague to introduce the next speaker, Mr. Rai.
In my life, I had introduced him first in 1986 in Lucknow when he had come as a chief guest to inaugurate a Chetna home for the mentally handicapped. Shri Bodhishwar Rai this shows how alert he is, how aware he is for the social responsibilities, and the social banking cell of State Bank of India was very active and we did a lot of support for all the charitable institutions. Now Shri Rai is a managing director of the SBI Fund Management Limited. He is a BCom from the University of Delhi in 1954 and MA from the Delhi School of Economics in the year 1956. He is widely travelled and is a fellow of the Asian Development Institute, Bangkok, and is also an associate of the International Management Institute, Geneva. He has joined SBI as a probationary officer in 1957. He was the general manager of the bank's offshore banking unit at Bahrain, and he was the chief general manager of Uttar Pradesh, where I had met him last, in Lucknow, UP. He is the director of several boards of several state and private sector companies. We are indeed privileged to have him with us, and of course he will throw a lot of light on what mutual funds think of the budget and how they will go with their strategy for the new year. Thank you very much.
Dinesh Maiji, Bobby, my friends on the podium, and my friends on the hall, minister's side. It was so sweet of my friend to have been introduced in glowing terms. Two other assignments I've had, I mentioned myself. I was an officer on special duty in the Ministry of Finance Department of Banking for 5 years when the bank was nationalized. I was also Secretary of the Inquiry Committee in 1977, Central Bank's Coimbatore. So there are things in life outside the bank, outside the stock market, outside the finance, as he said. Ajit Bhai has given an excellent and very succinct presentation of the budget. I think he has analyzed it very logically, cogently. Anyway, most of us have read what has been presented in the budget. I would analyze things from a little different angle. I would say that the theme of the budget has been to integrate the Indian economy with the global economy. 2-3 theme points one can look at. That was the first theme. That is why all this emphasis on custom duty reduction, convertibility is. The other was support to developmental efforts. No budget can succeed, no finance minister can remain in his seat if he was only working for the financials and capitals and so on. So the other thing is rural employment. That's a major thrust of the theme of the budget. Education, energy, infrastructure. In these areas, developmental support has been hiked up by the finance minister. Above all, I think the theme of the budget has been to curb inflationary tendencies in the market. He's been working for it for the last 3 years, although he has not said it so clearly. But the point of fiscal deficit and so on, it's all a pointer towards that. So these are the 3 basic themes of the budget. And before we pass judgment on them, let us see what are the thrusts that he has given in the budget to achieve these 3 objectives or themes. He is continuing with the fiscal correction. I think the way he has prepared his budget, having worked in the finance ministry, it looks to me as if first he prepared a zero budget, no deficit whatsoever. Then he thought of how much concessions I have to give, and that will be the difference. You can see it's around 4,000. 4,000 are the concessions, 4,000 is the deficit. The same kind of figure, not exact figure, in the neighborhood. So it's some kind of a zero budget, as they say, zero deficit budget, fully balanced budget is prepared, and then he has given these concessions. So fiscal correction is continuing. The deficit has been brought down significantly. The figures are well known to you. The other thing is that he has worked on the development side, on the expenditure side. For 2 years, he was criticized for not boosting up expenditure. Cement industry said that we are stagnating because government expenditure is not coming up. People were complaining about less educational facilities, nothing being done for infrastructure. So all this, as a result of this, I think his next thrust has been in increasing the development expenditure. Figures are well known to you. Then of course we have our balance of payments problem. So the thrust on exports. Lot of industry which is export oriented is going to benefit from the various measures which he has announced and which were so succinctly summarized by my friend JethMalani. Generally, then there has been an attempt at boosting industrial growth. Various concessions on excise duty, they are basically directed at that. We know the transport industry, whether it is cars or scooters or trucks, even tractors, they've been suffering. We have basically the other areas, export and all. So the boosting the industrial growth, some tinkering has been done with our usual textile, TMT, DT, and all these things. So, but the idea was to boost the industrial growth. Then there has been some support to agriculture, although we were expecting something very clearly to come out on the subsidies on fertilizers and so on. But I think he has avoided the budget, the controversial subject. probably he deal with it separately, because the Agriculture Ministry is very closely involved. And then tractor duties have been reduced, so people can take to these new methods, new equipment. Then he has continued with his tax reforms. Although generally it would be said that he hasn't done much for direct taxes, but on the indirect taxes he has done quite a lot. Now, why he has not been able to do much for the direct taxes? Actually, if you look at it from his side, last year he did a wholesale reform of the personal taxation system. He has, obviously every year you cannot, it takes time for the government, even departments, to get used to certain figures and so on. We are all very clever, we pay, but there the machinery moves very slow. So he hasn't done much. So far as the corporate taxation is concerned, although hopes were built up, but Chennai committee report came only in January. Government is like an elephant, it moves very slow, and it takes time to study, it takes time to a conclusion. So instead of doing half-baked things, I think he has postponed it for next year. He's also given a promise. He's let the cat out of the bag. He said next year I'll be doing something. I'm sure, although he had hoped to do it this year, he had said last year also, you might say, but the report came very late. I don't think it was available with him well in time. Now, these are the basic themes of the budget and thrust of the economic policies. Now, what are the implications of these for capital markets? Now, I would put them in two forms. One is the quantitative aspect and the other is the qualitative aspect. So far as the quantitative aspect is concerned, it has been well said, it is all being mentioned in the newspapers also. It is the qualitative aspect which is being ignored and which I think is very important of the investors and therefore shareholders. Some of you may be in the broker profession, you may not like it that way, but I think these are very important from all kinds of investors. This is an ongoing process. 3 budgets, I think he has made certain qualitative statements in regard to the reforms in the capital markets. First year, you leave, the whole thing has percolated inside, but last 2 years budget proposals contain a watchdog body to oversee the capital markets and players. This has been done. This year he says that SEBI will be given additional powers in light of experiences. Probably the market hasn't liked it. But the fact remains that we as investors like it. It's good for the investor that there is a body. In the beginning, in any situation you have problems coming to settling with each other. They have problems with us, we have problems with them. But I think both of us have to live together, maybe as well as the investors, as well as the broking community. In a couple of years' time, 1 or 2 years' time, I think the whole dust will settle and things will be all right. We'll be appreciating each other's role. Certainly stock markets have a very important role. So has SEBI reform. Because without regulation, we can be held as prey, as is very evident from the pricing thing, how the things are being priced, totally outlandish. So we do need certain amount of either self-regulation or an outside regulation. But in this case, as the trend world over, SEBI has been set up. Number of players in the capital market should be increased. He had said that. Now, in the last budget, they had introduced guidelines for operation of private sector mutual funds. Now these rules have been notified. Then several private mutual funds have been licensed. Financial institutions have been allowed to invest in the capital market. So therefore the number of players is going up. And therefore to that extent the capital market will be further strengthened. Trading and settlement period should take place with speed and transparency. This is one of the objectives of the SEBI, is to ensure this. This is happening. Proposals are also being considered for establishment of central depository, setting up a national stock exchange. Now at this stage, it may look to us that it is not so good, but in the long run you will see how good it will be for the investors market. Then inside the trading, rules have been formulated. Capital gains and wealth tax. Last year wealth tax on shares was withdrawn. Of course, it's a quantitative thing. but rules and regulations have now been notified to deal with insider trading. I thought that nobody is going to mention these qualitative aspects, and I am going to take this opportunity that otherwise reforms in primary markets, CCI abolished, free pricing allowed, rules and regulations notified for operations of merchant bankers, and all these things have taken place. We have to take note of them, that these are qualitative points which go towards strengthening the capital market, and we will see the results in the long run. Now, coming to other matters where, I'll come to what are the market-friendly proposals and what are the, because we've been asked to basically comment in our perception and what goes against. Full convertibility is certainly a market-friendly proposal. Low rate of tax for short-term capital gains for FFIs, change in excise duties, commercial rates and SLR requirements lower. Then impacts on individual industry, these are definitely long run in the capital market, they are helpful to the capital markets, they will benefit exporters, hotels, shipping, automobiles, consumer durables. Sponge iron, I feel so because the duty on scrap has been raised. Downstream petrochemical industries, and aluminium. I think these are the industries which are going to benefit. Now, the question that really has been really bothering you, bothering us also, and from where I think my real presentation begins, because till now it was a summarizing position, that stock market is supposed to be the barometer of all economic activity, other than perhaps agriculture directly, because there are no shares, but indirectly agriculture also, because that has an impact on industry, the demand, supply of raw materials, everything. And still, when everybody is saying that such a fine budget has come and stock markets chose to take those time. Let us analyze the reasons for this as I see them. I personally feel that, you see, the stock market and the corporate sector somehow do not have a very full understanding of each other. Stock markets feel that this international competition, the domestic industry may not be able to stand. Although we are making too much of, convertibility as well as other reduction in customs duties. I'm sorry, I was having cold. I've taken some tablets to bring my up to this situation. I'm not talking as insistently as one should be, but I didn't want to miss it. Now, the domestic industry, why is it not considered to be good enough to bear the competition in the international markets? You see, firstly, the interest rates abroad are very low. Interest rates in this country is still very high. Certainly, we have to look for lower interest rates. I agree with his buying that 1% going down is not enough. Generally, industry expects better. But question is that banks' profitability on one side, incentive to save on the other, requires higher interest rates on deposits, and probably a spread has to be maintained. Then our industry is really not here to save wastages. Our exchange rate, full convertibility may also make new projects more costly. If we have to, even the amount that we pay as royalty, the amount that we pay to our foreign collaborators, all this is going to go up in rupees because this is paid in dollars. So probably I feel that the first reason I'm trying to rationalize, because I'm not talking, that the market has reacted in this manner, because probably it feels that our industry is really not yet fully prepared for globalization, and 1 or 2 years of problems are going to arise. But the real reason which is generally being said is that many expectations have been denied. There are no direct concessions. Particularly, people are saying that the corporate tax concession which was promised has not been given. I have casually mentioned that it takes time in the government to to really come to grips with any report and come to conclusion and then come up with its proposals. But another reason is, I will pose a question to you, aren't we making too much of it? I just asked my other day in my office yesterday to let me have a list of companies out of our capital line or info, the last street, the models which are paying corporate taxes. We find not even 20% companies are not paying, only 20% companies will be paying corporate tax. So this is only a perception. You know the big names who are not paying corporate tax. You know very well. So why did the market, which consists of such knowledgeable people, think that corporate tax reduction or corporate tax reform is going to be such a big thing? Also, it has been said that, you see, the FM is a choice. I give you a cross-board concession in corporate taxes, or I give you concession in excise duty, plus I boost the demand. I'm sure the industry is going to plummet for the second alternative, and then they say, what corporate taxes? You know, most of them are not paying anyway, and even if they have a reduction, first they have to earn. It's better to earn more and then pay something rather than make a fetish out of it. Another thing has been said that no benefit has come to certain industries like cement. My colleague and old friend from the bank, Mr. Wagum, he said his first reaction was nothing for the housing sector. In the newspaper he said. I was looking at it, really these two things. What did he do last time? And was there any scope for doing anything this year? Now cement, you know, it carries the excise duty not ad valorem, but on part-time basis. Last year he had increased the excise duty from 215 rupees to 290 per ton. He had also raised excise duty on cement produced by mini plants from 90 to 165. Mind you, hit mini plants more last year than the big industry, probably to help the big industry. Now, last year the prices were about 2,900, 2,400, 2,500 per ton. This year prices are 2,100, 2,200. On this, an excise duty of 290 rupees is about 12 to 13%. If I cannot get 10% excise duty, I'll wind up the department. The item does not suit me. It is my expenditure. To 10% expenditure is my collection charge. When we issue kurkis and so on, you know, we do it in the bank for small people, farmers and so on. The Tehsildar charges deduct 10% out of the amount realized as a collection charge. So the government collection charge is 10%. So if the ad valorem duty is less than 10%, unless he wants to subsidize, there's no point in having the thing. So I don't think you can look for lower excise duty even in the next few years to come. Not at all. If prices go up, this rate will go, this rate will remain, or might even be raised. Then the white cement he had reduced the excise duty because that's ad valorem from 40 to 35 last year, and borne the loss. This year, 2 years, cement industry people have really minted money, building their walls with silver. Don't let them count with the rest of the country also. As regards housing, I went through last year's budget proposals. Following were fully exempted from excise duty. Last year he said. Following are fully exempted from excise duty: bricks and tiles, lightweight concrete building blocks. This is last year's budget. Doors and windows made of plastic, iron and steel would be anyway don't pay any excise duty, or wooden doors. Then panel doors, you know those Sitabar doors as we call them. Then excise duty on prefabricated buildings reduced from 15% to 5%. That was last year's budget. Was there any scope for reducing duty on any housing item? What was really required, and which I think we should look forward to, is that housing in this country is extremely ill organized. Look at Europe, America, which is a real industry, specifications are followed, the whole thing, the societies are there, the housing societies which finance construction of buildings as well as give loans to individuals, those who want to buy. So what we really need is to recognize housing as an industry. Like last year, tourism few years back was recognized as an industry. So housing has to be an industry, housing or construction. I mean, to say construction has to be recognized as an industry. Then certain concessions can come and one can look forward to both concessions and wholesome returns. Not merely concessions all the time and nothing wholesome. We know how problematic it is to deal with the construction industry. So, of course, I already commented on inadequate interest cut. I'm with you. I think maybe he'll do again something, but I have two hats. I'm in the bank. We have to have a certain spread, otherwise we become uneconomical. But to my mind, the real reason why the market acted in this manner is that it is still not working on fundamentals. 2 years we've been talking of fundamentals, but we've been working like a casino. I am saying this with all responsibility. With time, I think it will take slowly, when we'll move away from the casino mentality to real investment and working, picking up companies on fundamentals. Just because you pick up a company and say it go good, people and hope, that's one way of doing it. But basically, I think it is this. Still, it will take time, maybe another 1 year, maybe another 2 years, when we'll be more on fundamentals. Time is coming. Now, what will bring the fundamentals back? I think the most major step that has been taken in recent times is this freeing of the prices. And the way things are being priced, it is anybody, it's a nightmare. I do it every day, I handle these things every day. I can't find a single issue which is properly priced. They have some few formulas, the merchant bankers talk about those PE ratios, this ratio, which we have learned from books, but in reality, we can't even sell a scrip that we buy. It has no liquidity, it has no market, there are no purchasers. It's all right to have a PE ratio for a category scrip or a well-moving scrip, not for everyone. So these things, I think it is going to boomerang in a way. A few years later, you will see the investor upcountry is not very accustomed to selling things in stock exchanges. If you tell him, how much earning will I be? I face it every day. If I don't declare a dividend 1 year, the amount of letters that I get, I am not skipped, I have postponed the dividend for valid reasons. I get letters from even ex-finance secretaries that we have not put your money with you so that you may not pay us, we want regular return. So risk orientation is one thing. It is all right in Gujarat, Bombay, this area. But from up country, if you tell a person, if you want to make money, sell your share, he said, tomorrow you will tell me to sell my house and make money? That kind of mentality. You see, so things are going to be very difficult when those people who have picked up money at this time at exorbitant premiums, if they are not going to properly service, there is going to be a backlash. I always say that the corporate sector might destroy the stock market, the way it is moving. I think time has come when, as a shareholders association, as investors, I represent you, really, that we have to put these people in place. In fact, the joke in my offices are merchant banking subsidiaries on the 20th floor. I'm on the 19th floor. So people come to me, they say, sir, they have fixed the premium. I say, yes, I fixed the discount. So that's how it is. So I think that we are moving, but it will take time, market has to mature. Now a few questions were asked. I really cannot recommend any script to you. My duty come in the way of it. But my general recommendation to the market would be that next 4 to 6 weeks, I expect a narrow band downward move. 4 to 6 weeks. After the next 4 to 6 months, after about month and a half, I am sure market will pick up. Then monsoon is a big factor, but I am not seeing any high number immediately coming by the year end. Those numbers would never come. The factors that motivated those numbers, we know we all of us know they are not those any fundamental. So things will have to take time. We'll have 4,000, maybe 2 years, 3 years from now.
Now the next speaker we have on the list is popular investment journalist Mr. Crore.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thapar. I will be failing in my duties. Okay, in Hindi. But उसके पहले मुझे एक बात याद आती है, वो मुझे बतानी पड़ेगी। आज जिन्होंने इस इतने बड़े गैदरिंग के सामने और इतनी बड़ी पर्सनालिटियों के बीच में मुझे आने का मौका दिया है, उस दिनेश भाई मोदी का मैं दो बार आभार मानता हूँ। एक बार इधर लाने के लिए और दूसरी बार जब मैं कुछ नहीं था, कोई मुझे जानता नहीं था, तभी इनडायरेक्टली मुझे शेयर बाजार सिखाने के लिए। तो बात यूं हुई कि व्यापार में मेरा काम था इंग्लिश में से गुजराती में ट्रांसलेशन करने का। और हमारे एडिटर साहब वसानी दिनेश भाई का जो आर्टिकल आएगा वो पहले मुझे ही भेजेंगे। वो समझते थे कि ये छोकरे को अच्छा आता है। तो एक बार दिनेश भाई ने एक बहुत बढ़िया इंटरेस्टिंग आर्टिकल डबल टॉप्स एंड डबल बॉटम्स के बारे में लिखा। उसमें भाई मैं शेयर बाजार में डबल टॉप्स और डबल बॉटम होते हैं उसकी बात कर रहा हूं। आप कुछ गलत समझ पा रहे हैं। तो इन्होंने ये लिखा था कि when you are playing with the tops, don't forget the bottoms. And when you are fumbling for the bottoms, don't neglect the tops. तो मुझे पहली बार पता चला कि ये शेयर बाजार इतना रोमांटिक जगह है और इतने रोमांटिक हमारे दिनेश भाई भी हैं। तो मैं धीरे धीरे ये डबल टॉप की बुक्स जितनी भी थी उतनी पढ़ने लगा और जिधर भी डबल टॉप दिखने लगा वहां से मैं सोचता था कि यहां मार्केट नीचे गिरेगा। और आज भी वही थियरी के ऊपर आज चलता हूं। फॉर एग्जाम्पल मार्केट 1985-86 में पहले 654 हुआ, सॉरी 654, उसके बाद 664 हुआ। मैं बोला इधर डबल टॉप बनाए अभी गिरेगा। और मैंने द डेली में हेडलाइन दिया था सेल सेल सेल, उसके सिवा और कोई इंडिकेशन मैंने नहीं लिखा था। तो ये डबल टॉप और डबल बॉटम की थियरी मैंने दिनेश भाई से सीखी है और आज आपके सामने मैं कुछ कहने के लिए काबिल हुआ हूँ। उसके लिए मेरे गुरु समान दिनेश भाई को आपके सामने, सबके सामने मैं ऋण स्वीकार करता हूँ। अभी हम बात करेंगे ये मेन जो टॉपिक है उसकी। आपको तो आदत है हम साइड ट्रैक ही ज्यादा करते हैं, तो हम भी वही आदत सीख गए हैं। बाजार में जाते जाते किस तरह होता है, अगला बजट जो आया कोई भी बोलेगा कि कितना बढ़िया बजट था, इतनी तेजी आई, सबको अच्छा लगा। लेकिन मुझे ये बताएंगे कि किसने उसमें पाया। आज इतना बढ़िया बजट आने के बाद आज हम सब लोग रो रहे हैं। क्यों, कैसे? तो लोग बोलते थे कि उसको उसका काम करने दो, मुझे मेरा काम करने दो, और आपको कुछ सुनना है तो सुनिए। तो ये जो अगला बजट आया उसमें हम लोग जो चीज बहुत लंबे अरसे में करनी चाहिए उसको बहुत जल्दी करने लगे। और हम किस तरह लोग लेते थे, हम लोग शेयर लेते थे। हर्षद भाई को पता है किस तरह लोग लेते थे शेयर। एक दिन हर्षद भाई ओबेरॉय शेराटन में लिफ्ट के सामने खड़े थे, उतने में वो रामकृष्ण हेगड़े फ्रॉम कर्नाटका, उन्होंने देख लिया कि हर्षद भाई खड़े हैं, तो सामने आके धोती ऊंचा करते करते हर्षद भाई के सामने आए। ओ मिस्टर हर्षद मेहता, आई नो यू, आपके बहुत सारे फोटोग्राफ छपते हैं। ओ हर्षद मेहता से प्लीज करेक्ट मी इफ आई एम रॉन्ग। हर्षद मेहता से ओ यस मिस्टर रामकृष्ण हेगड़े, हाउ आर यू? इट्स वेरी फाइन, आई एम वेरी फाइन। हाउ इज कर्नाटका डूइंग? नेचुरली उनका तो आदत है पूछने का कोई भी कंपनी कि कैसा अच्छा करती है, क्या कहाँ कैसा क्या चलता है, उनके उसके बिना तो ये शेयर लेते नहीं है। तो ये रिसर्च जो इनके लहू में बनी थी, उन्होंने पूछ लिया कैसे, हाउ इज कर्नाटका डूइंग। कर्नाटका इनका मतलब था कर्नाटका स्टेट, क्योंकि वो भी बड़ा आदमी था कर्नाटका का। तो he said it is doing exceedingly well under गुंडूराव। अभी मोहन सिंह ओबेरॉय, MS ओबेरॉय जो मालिक हैं उनके, वो जब शिमला में सर्विस करते थे, उनके साथ एक गोरखा बच्चा लाए थे। तो गोरखे बच्चे को अच्छी नौकरी भी दी थी, क्योंकि साथ में उसका बाप और ये दोनों साथ में सर्विस करते थे। वो गोरखा बच्चा लिफ्ट में से बाहर निकल रहा था, उसमें सुना कुछ यहाँ टिप चल रही है, ये कर्नाटका की बात हो रही है। उसने पूछा भाई ये कर्नाटका नाम का कौन सा शेयर है बाजार में? तो बोलता है कर्नाटका के 2-3 हैं, लेकिन कौन सा ज्यादा अच्छा लगता है? बोलता है कर्नाटका बॉलबेरी। तो सीधा अपना सेठ की कार लेके गया बाजार में। अभी सेठ की ओबेरॉय मोहन सिंह की कैसी कार होती है, बहुत बड़ी कार होती है। तो जिस ब्रोकर के पास जाके खड़ा हुआ तो ब्रोकर भी खड़ा हो गया, ये तो कोई बड़ा साहब आया है। बोला 5000 कर्नाटका लाओ। अरे कर्नाटका, वो कर्नाटका है ना, कर्नाटका बॉलबेरी। तो इसने 5000 लिया, 18 वाला 25। फिर सुना किसी ने कि ये कोई बड़ा आदमी इधर शेयर खरीदने के लिए आया है। भाई ये किधर से टिप लाया? डायरेक्ट फ्रॉम हर्षद मेहता। डायरेक्टली फ्रॉम हर्षद मेहता। बोला कहां से सुना? बोला हमारे लिफ्ट में वो बात कर रहे थे, हमने सुन लिया। तो इस तरह हम शेयर खरीदते थे, 18 वाला 180 बना दिया, और अभी फिर वापस वहीं पर हैं। हम सबके पास वही शेयर पड़े हुए हैं। सब इसमें ये हर्षद मेहता ने नहीं दी थी टिप, हम खुद ने ली थी उनके पास से। हमारे पास एक ड्राइवर आया था, वो भी यही बात करता था कि मेरा बच्चा हर्षद मेहता की स्कूल में हमने दाखिल करवाया है, तो उसके बच्चे की स्कूल में क्यों? बोला तो उसकी टिप डायरेक्ट मिलेगी। तो इस तरह हमने शेयर दिया। क्यों कि बाजार उस तरह भागता था, हमको लगता था कि आज नहीं लेंगे तो कल तो चांस गया। तो साहब ये मोहन अपने डॉक्टर साहब जो हैं, रियल डॉक्टर हैं, बोले ये दर्द का तो इलाज करना पड़ेगा। तो बोले ये लोग अगर फंस जाते हैं, इतना तेजी वाला बजट दिया, इससे अच्छा है कि थोड़ा मंदी का बजट दे दे रहे हैं, तो लोग कुछ समझ के लेंगे, सोच के लेंगे। और सब एक बात मैं आपको बताता हूं कि तेजी के पीरियड में हर एक चीज उसकी वैल्यू के ऊपर बिकती है, और मंदी के पीरियड में हर एक चीज उसकी वैल्यू, रियल वैल्यू नहीं तो उसके भी नीचे बिकती है। तो अब सही समय है कि रियल वैल्यू के नीचे जो शेयर बिकते हैं और अच्छा पोटेंशियल जिसमें है वो हम खरीद के 6 महीना भी रखेंगे तो मैं समझता हूं कि उसमें अच्छा चांस मिलेगा। सर जिस समय बड़ी तेजी में हम शेयर खरीद रहे थे, उस समय हम समझते थे कि आज लिया और कल बढ़ेगा, और क्या हो गया कि अप्रैल से लिया और आज तक 11 महीना हो गया, वही शेयर हमारे पास पड़े हुए हैं। जो शेयर हमने 2 दिन में बेचने के लिए लिया था और जिसको बोलते हैं कि निरुपाय हमें शेयर होल्डर बना पड़ा हुआ है, और वो भाव जिस भाव से हमने लिया है वो भाव तो अभी भी नहीं आया। तो उससे अच्छा है कि ये अपनी मर्जी के बिना कोई लोग हमें शेयर होल्डर बनने की ये कंपल्सन दें, उससे अच्छा है कि हम खुद समझ के अच्छे शेयर अपने दिमाग से सोच के इस मंदी के टाइम में सोचना अच्छा लगता है कि भाई कोई भी चीज ओवर वैल्यूड नहीं है, कोई भी चीज एग्जेगरेटेड नहीं है। तो मैं समझता हूं कि यही तरीका है मंदी के पीरियड में अच्छे शेयरों की जांच करना, तलाश करना। अभी थोड़ा सा बजट के ऊपर मैं बोल दूंगा, सिर्फ इतना ही बोलूंगा क्योंकि बड़े बड़े लोग बड़ी बड़ी बातें करते हैं, मुझे तो वो आती नहीं है। तो मैं इतना बोलूंगा कि ये बजट जो है, ये बजट इन्वेस्टर फ्रेंडली बजट है, ये बजट जो है इंडस्ट्री फ्रेंडली बजट है, और ये बजट जो है कंज्यूमर फ्रेंडली बजट है। जब कोई भी चीज का भाव बढ़ता है, कोई भी चीज की ज़कात बढ़ती है, एक्साइज बढ़ती है, तो लोग गुमाबुम करते हैं कि भाई ये ज़कात ऊंची गई है, नीचे करो। अभी मनमोहन सिंह साहब ने तो बिना बोले ज़कात कम कर दिया है। उससे भी बढ़िया और क्या चाहिए इंडस्ट्री को, बोलिए। अगर इंडस्ट्री को ज़कात कम करने से या एक्साइज कम करने से फायदा होता होगा, तो वो फायदा इंडस्ट्री के लिए आगे चलकर बहुत बढ़िया फायदा होगा। और दूसरी बात, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज ये है कि इनको चाहिए कि जो फॉरेन के इन्वेस्टर हैं वो भी इंडिया में आवे, और हमने उनको इतने भाव ऊंचे करके रखे थे कि उनके लिए दरवाजा ही खुला नहीं छोड़ा था। तो फॉरेन के कोई इन्वेस्टर आए नहीं, सबकी नजर यहाँ लगी हुई थी, एक चीन के ऊपर, एक इंडिया के ऊपर, एक पाकिस्तान के ऊपर। तो चीन वाले जीत गए, इंडिया वाले नहीं जीते, क्योंकि चीन में कोई शेयर ही नहीं था। शेयर तो हमारे पास था। तो चीन में अभी अभी लोग स्टॉक एक्सचेंज शुरू करते हैं, और क्या हो गया मालूम है, एक कंपनी के फॉर्म आए थे, वो 5-5 उधर का रुपया जो भी होगा मुझे पता नहीं, तो उसमें बिक रहे थे। उसमें 8 लाख लोगों की लाइन लग गई थी, उसमें हुल्लड़ हो गए, उसमें कितने लोग मारे गए सब। इतना अगर शेयर बाजार के लिए क्रेज चाइना में है, तो हम लोग तो थोड़ा सा तो जानते ही हैं कि शेयर बाजार क्या है, बाकी हमने लास्ट ईयर सीख लिया। लास्ट ईयर हमने ये सीखा, तो ये सरदार जी ने जो किया है, सरदार जी ने जो किया है, पहले उन्होंने शेयर बाजार में लाने के लिए तेजी वाला बजट दिया। और कोई भी आदमी अगर बोलेंगे कि भाई ये मंदी मार्केट में जाओ, ये शेयर खरीदो, बोलेगा नहीं साहब वहां तो भाव गिरता है, मार लगता है, तो कोई नहीं लेता है। तो वो हर एक लोग, ड्राइवर होगा, ये फोटोग्राफर होंगे, ये जर्नलिस्ट होंगे, पान वाले होंगे, सब लोग तभी ही एंट्री लेते हैं जब भी बाजार में हर रोज भाव बढ़ते हैं, फट फट फट, और फटाफट जो भाव बढ़ते हैं उसमें आते हैं, मार खाते हैं और बाद में सीखते हैं। यही तरीका है सीखने का, उसके सिवा और कोई तरीका नहीं है। जब बच्चा बिल्कुल चलने के लिए सीखता है तो पहले गिरता ही है। मुझे बताइए कौन नहीं गिरा यहाँ पर? हर एक आदमी गिरा है। और अगर सरदार जी ने ये सोचा कि पहले लोगों को अंदर जमा करो, बाद में सिखाओ, तो अगले साल उन्होंने जमा किया, सिखाया, देखो अगले साल फिर जमा करेंगे, अगले साल ऐसा ही तेजी का बजट देंगे। जो तेजी का बजट हमें इस साल आने की जरूरत थी, चाहते थे कि आएगा बजट, वो कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स वाली बात कर रहा हूं मैं। जो चीज अबेयंस में रखी है वो कभी भी आएगी। तो इन्होंने गारंटी कर ली कि अगले साल तो गारंटी तेजी होगी। और बाजार का तो रूल है कि कंपनी नुकसान में से थोड़ा सा नफा बताए, बोनस तो 3 साल के बाद आएगा। तो नुकसान में से नफा करने का शुरू करे कंपनी, वहीं से हम शेयर लेना शुरू करते हैं। तो अगला बजट गारंटीड तेजी वाला आने वाला है, ये अभी मालूम हो गया है, क्योंकि इन्होंने बताया है कि ये टाइम कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स में नहीं कम करूंगा। तो इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि अगले टाइम तो करेंगे ही। तो ये जो तेजी होगी कभी होगी, वो बाद में बात करूंगा मैं। ये जो तेजी होगी वो अगले साल के पार करके जाएगी। अगले साल भी जो बजट आएगा उसमें आपको घबराने की जरूरत नहीं है। और खास करके मैं बताता हूं, ये टाइम में जो मंदी आई है अभी बजट के बाद, उसमें कुछ अनयूजुअल हो रहा है। अनयूजुअल क्यों हो रहा है कि बजट के बाद हर एक चीज का भाव घटा है। जिस कंपनी को बढ़िया से बढ़िया फायदा होता है उसी का भी घटा है, जिसका खराब भी हुआ है उसका भी घटा है। दिस इज समथिंग वेरी अनयूजुअल, अननेचुरल। अननेचुरल चीजें ज्यादा नहीं चलती है, आपको मालूम है। अननेचुरल चीजें ज्यादा नहीं चलती है, 15 दिन, महीना, 2 महीना बाद में अपने मेरिट के ऊपर चलती है। तो ये बताइए कि ऐसा था बजट की हर एक चीज, हर एक कंपनी को खराब हुए ये बजट में? नहीं। थोड़ी सी कंपनियां हम बताएंगे। तो ये जो बजट आया उसमें जो रिएक्शन है, वो रिएक्शन क्या है मैं बताता हूं। कि लोग समझते थे कि बहुत बढ़िया बजट आएगा, और जैसे बात हुई थी कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स जाएगा, इंडिविजुअल टैक्स की फ्री लिमिट बढ़ेगी, ये सब बातें हुई थी इसके लिए। और अगले ही दिन हर एक पेपर में हेडलाइन भी आई थी कि इंडिविजुअल टैक्स लिमिट विल गो अप, फ्री टैक्स लिमिट, कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स विल बी स्लैश, ऐसा। तो लोग और भी जोर से ले गए थे। अभी बाजार में हर एक टाइम पर थोड़े ऐसे लोग रहते हैं जो इस पार या उस पार वाली बात करते हैं। उन्होंने इस पार या उस पार के हिसाब से अपनी गुंजाइश के ऊपर शेयर ले लिया, और बाकी जो थे, जो अप्रैल से फंसे हुए थे और अब तक छोड़ते नहीं थे, उनके लिए तो ये लास्ट रिसोर्ट था। ये समझते थे कि अभी कुछ नहीं तो चांस आएगा छूटने का। तो ये जो बजट आया उसमें गिरना शुरू हुआ, उन्होंने लास्ट चांस भी छोड़ के बोला अभी तो बाजार नहीं चलेगा। इसके लिए जो सेलिंग प्रेशर 2-4 दिन में आया, मैं समझता हूं कि और 2-4 दिन में खत्म हो जाएगा। और मैं ये नहीं चाहता हूं कि 2-4 दिन के बाद जो सेलिंग प्रेशर खत्म हो जाएगा और बाजार फिर फटाफट ऊपर जाने लगेगा। ऊपर जाएगा, नीचे जाएगा, ऊपर जाएगा, वैसे करते 6-8 महीना निकालना है। ये जुलाई तक तो बहुत बढ़िया मैं समझता हूं कि बाजार का ऐसा जबरदस्त सॉलिड नींव बन जाएगा कि जुलाई में बारिश आएगी, बुक बंद के बदले हो गए होंगे, नो डिलीवरी पीरियड शुरू हो गया होगा, और वहां से हम शेयर खरीदना भी शुरू करेंगे। मुझे सिर्फ इतना कहना है कि इस बजट में सिर्फ 2 चीजें आप अच्छी ढूंढ के निकालो और त्राटक विद्या उसके ऊपर शुरू करो। अभी ये बोलेंगे कि त्राटक विद्या क्या है, तो मैं समझता हूं कि मैंने पहले बहुत दफे बताई है, कई लोग नए फंसे हुए हैं उनके लिए भी बताना जरूरी है, तो बता देता हूं। मैं एक बार सूरत गया था लेक्चर देने के लिए। बड़ौदा का एक आदमी आके खड़ा हुआ और लेक्चर का टाइम हो रहा था, 5 मिनट कम थी, लॉबी में आके खड़ा हो गया। साहब, मैं बोला बोलिए, रिलायंस में क्या लगता है? 1985 की बात है, 340 का भाव था, 393 नहीं हुआ था। मैं बोला रिलायंस अच्छा लगता है। नहीं, बोनस क्या रेशियो में आएगा? बोनस तो मुझे पता नहीं, मैंने धीरू भाई से अब तक बात कुछ की नहीं है। तो बोलता है नहीं, मुझे जरा खास बताओ कि इसमें क्या लगता है। अभी मेरी एक आदत है कि कोई भी आदमी सलाह पूछेगा, एडवाइस लेगा, तो मैं पहले उससे ये सवाल करूंगा कि भाई तेरे पास कितने शेयर हैं? वो बोलेगा 100 शेयर हैं, तो मैं बोलूंगा 50 रखो, 50 बेचो। उसको फायदे के लिए नहीं, मेरी सलामती के लिए। सिंपल है। अगर मेरे उसके कहने के बाद कि भाई 50 शेयर बेचो, भाव बढ़ गया, तो मैं बोलूंगा कि देखो तुम्हारे पास 50 रखवाया ना हमने, भाव गिर गया, तो मैं बोलूंगा देखो 50 तो बिकवा दिया ना। तो मैंने बोला कि भाई तेरे पास कितने शेयर हैं? वो आदमी मुंह का नाम मेरी नहीं देता था, मतलब अपने पास कितनी क्वांटिटी है पता नहीं रहा था। तो मैं बोला देख, जब तक तुम जवाब नहीं दोगे कितने शेयर हैं, तो मैं तुझे सही सलाह नहीं दे पाऊंगा। और टाइम हो गया, साहब मेरी हाथ पकड़ के बोले साहब अभी चलो, मीटिंग का टाइम हो रहा है, उधर पब्लिक वेट कर रही है। तो इसने समझा कि अब ये तो जा रहा है, हाथ से जाएगा, तो लास्ट में उसने बोल दिया पीछे से, साहब सिर्फ 40,000 शेयर हैं। मैंने झटके से हाथ छुड़ाया कन्वीनर से, मैं उसके सामने खड़ा हो गया, साहब ये बताइए कि आप ऐसे ये 40,000 शेयर इकट्ठे कैसे किए जाते हैं? तो ये आदमी ने बताया, अपना सीक्रेट बताया। ये आदमी ने सीक्रेट बताया, साहब देखो 1977 में इसका इश्यू आया, सब लोग बोलते थे ये हो जाएगा, वो हो जाएगा। आपको मालूम है क्या बोलते थे लोग? तो मैंने एक दिल में एक ऐसा घुस गया मेरे मन में कि ये शेयर में कुछ होने वाला है। और मैं कभी पहले शेयर बाजार में गया नहीं था। 100 लिया, 200 लिया, 400 लिया, धीरे धीरे जो भी पैसा आता गया मैं उसी में शेयर लेते गया, उसी का शेयर। बोला और कोई चीज? बोला नहीं, कोई भी नहीं है, एक भी, सिर्फ रिलायंस। फिर हमने कैलकुलेटर निकाला, उसको कैलकुलेशन करके बताया कि भाई तुम 1 करोड़ 40 लाख पति हो गए हो, सब बेच दो। सब बेच के जो भी पैसा आएगा उसमें 65 लाख सरकार को जाएगा, बाकी 65 लाख बचेगा, उसमें 15 लाख तुम इधर उधर घूम के आओ, यूरोप अमेरिका जो भी है। 50 लाख ब्याज बदले में डाल दो, और ब्याज बदले में जो हर महीने पैसा आएगा उसमें से फिर लेते जाओ। मैं समझा कि मैंने बहुत बढ़िया एडवाइस दे दी है। पहली बार हमने 100% सेल करने का सिग्नल दिया था, अगर कोई आदमी को दिया था तो, नहीं तो 50-50 ही रहता है। जिस तरह हमारी टिप होती है 50-50। मैं समझा इस आदमी ने तो बराबर दिमाग में उतार लिया, और मैं गया, पीछे से आवाज सुनाई दिया, साहब आपने ये नहीं बताया कि बोनस क्या रेशियो में आएगा। लेकिन एक बात उस आदमी से मैंने जो समझा है, ये त्राटक विद्या है। बाजार में 5000 चीजें लिस्टेड होने वाली, आप कितनी लेंगे? कितनी चीजों का अभ्यास करेंगे? कोई 5 चीज सिर्फ दूध निकालो, 5 में से एक बेस्ट सिलेक्ट करो और उसके ऊपर आप कॉन्सेंट्रेट करो। आपको ये बाजार की तेजी मंदी कुछ नहीं लगेगी, आपको कोई फिक्र करने की जरूरत नहीं है। अगर आप खरीदना चाहते हैं तो एक बेस्ट चीज आप, मैं बोलता हूं, आज बोल दूं, सब इंडेक्स बेस्ट चीज नहीं है। अच्छा, एक बहुत बढ़िया सवाल आपने किया कि इंडेक्स की बात की है। अभी जो पीरियड आया है, अभी उसमें इंडेक्स भूल जाओ। इंडेक्स नहीं बढ़ेगा तो भी मेरिट वाली कंपनियां बढ़ेगी। अभी मेरिट और इंडेक्स दोनों जुदा हो गए हैं। अभी मेरिट और इंडेक्स दोनों जुदा हो गए हैं। ये बजट आया 27 फरवरी, तब तक इंडेक्स और मेरिट और डिमेरिट, वॉट एवर यू कॉल इट, they are connected with each other. But now this is a budget which will be pushing the prices up or down on the merits and demerits of the companies and also on the merits and demerits of the industry. So इंडेक्स को भूल जाओ, मैं 10,000 बोल दूंगा तो आप तालियां बजाएंगे, मुझे पता है। और फिर भी ये भी बताऊंगा कि इंडेक्स कहां तक नीचे जाएगा। ज्यादा से ज्यादा 15 दिन में अगर 2359 के नीचे नहीं गया तो अजीत भाई ने जो बताया 4000 का इंडेक्स धीरे धीरे आएगा। और खास करके थोड़ा मुझे आप बताइए, परमिशन टाइम का जो है, ये सरदार जी जो है उन्होंने बहुत बढ़िया गेम खेला है। वो पॉलिटिशियन नहीं थे लेकिन अभी बनना पड़ा है। क्यों कि उधर जयललिता जी नरसिंह राव को तकलीफ दे रहे हैं, इधर बीजेपी से तकलीफ हो रही है। अभी लोगों को डाउट है कि ये बजट पास होगा या नहीं। कल तक तो ऐसा लगता था कि ये बजट पास नहीं होवे तो ही अच्छा है, ये बजट पास नहीं होवे तो ही अच्छा है, क्योंकि शेयर के भाव गिर रहे थे। लेकिन आज सुबह में किसी ने बताया कि भाव थोड़े ऊंचे हो गए हैं, तो ये बजट पास नहीं होगा, ये भी एक डर है। वो डर कैसे निकलेगा मैं बताता हूं कि सरदार जी जब फाइनल रीडिंग करेंगे बजट का, तब इतनी जो डिमांड हमने की है, मैं समझता हूं कि शायद ये कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स वाली बात आ जाएगी। अगर नहीं भी आई तो अगले साल जरूर देंगे और वो प्रॉमिस करेंगे। और खास करके वो जो फ्री टैक्स लिमिट जो है वो तो मैं समझता हूं जरूर बढ़ाएंगे, 1-2 हजार से 3-4 हजार से बढ़ाएंगे। जितना आप नीचे गिराओ मार्केट उतना वो ज्यादा बढ़ाएंगे। तो ये मार्च महीने में आप बाजार को ऊंचा उठाने की कोशिश ही नहीं करना, भले 5 मंगलवार होए। ये मार्च महीने में 5 मंगलवार है और 5 मंगलवार के महीने में कभी मंदी हुई नहीं है। फिर भी ये मंदी जो हम कर रहे हैं जानबूझकर कर रहे हैं, करनी ही चाहिए अगर पाना है तो। पहले एक जमाना था यूनियन वाले डिमांड करते थे 3000 का पगार बढ़ाओ, उनको पता था कि 3000 क्या 300 भी नहीं बढ़ेगा। 3000 का पगार बढ़ाने का डिमांड करने के लिए मोर्चा निकालते थे और मोर्चा निकालने के बाद 15 दिन काम बंद करने के बाद 300 रुपया बढ़ता था, खुश होते थे, समझते थे कि 150 के भी काबिल नहीं है हम लोग, 300 को बढ़ा। तो बाजार को अगर 15 दिन महीना दिन ऊंचा उठाया तो ये समझना कि कुछ नहीं आएगा। इसके लिए तेजी की उम्मीद मत रखना, सिर्फ इतना करना कि अपने जो शेयर हैं वो संभाल के रख लेना। एक भी शेयर बेचने के लिए अगर एक भी आदमी नहीं निकालेगा तो मैं देखता हूं क्या करते हैं मंदी वाले। मंदी तो हम खुद कर रहे हैं, हम खुद घबरा कर मंदी कर रहे हैं, मंदी का कोई कारण नहीं है। तो मैं एक बात आपको बताता हूं कि ये महीना जब हो जाएगा तब तो जूनी बातें हम वैसे भी भूल जाते हैं, दुख कम हो जाता है और बाद में ये मंदी अपने कोटे हो जाएगी और फिर नया ढूंढेंगे कौन सी टिप कहां से निकल रही है। तो साहब घबराना नहीं, ये बाजार का भविष्य बहुत उजला है, ये इंडिया का भविष्य उजला है। और इतने सारे लोग बॉम्बे शेयर होल्डर एसोसिएशन के मेजे के अंदर पहली बार आए हैं। मैं समझता हूं कि बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज में आने वाले सालों तक तेजी बनी रहेगी और मैं यही चाहता हूं कि हर कंपनी, बस यहां पर तकलीफ शुरू होती है। ये तकलीफ का जो मेन कारण है यहां से शुरू होता है। आपको चाहिए तो मैं देता हूं। मैं समझ कुछ भाई पॉइंट भूल गया हूं तो एक आदमी अगर बोलेगा और परमिशन देंगे दिनेश भाई तो मैं बोलूंगा 50-50। अच्छा
आपके पास है वो मत बताओ।
नहीं, मेरे पास कुछ नहीं है इसमें से, हमने तो अप्रैल में बेच दिया था सब। सर फाइनेंशियल जो सर्विसेज बोलते हैं वो कंपनियां बहुत बढ़िया चलेगी आने वाले 5 साल तक। उसमें कोटक महिंद्रा बेस्ट, उसमें अल्पिक केमिकल लीजिए और 2-4 नाम आप आजू बाजू में पूछ लीजिए, बहुत फेमस चीजें हैं। फेरा शेयर जो अभी बढ़े नहीं हैं और बढ़ने की पूरी गुंजाइश रखते हैं, वो अगले साल का जब बजट आएगा 5% या 10% कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स कम होगा तो सबसे बढ़िया अगर बेनिफिट जाएगा तो फेरा शेयरों के लिए है। 1 साल तक आप संभालने की गुंजाइश रखते हैं तो फेरा शेयर जरूर लीजिए। भाई फेरा शेयर जो अच्छे हैं, अभी फेरा शेयर में भी कौन से अच्छे हैं वो नहीं जानते हैं आप, तो ये तो भाई बहुत कमी की बात है। फिर भी मैं आपको एक ऐसी चीज देता हूं कि जो इस बाजार में इतने खराब मार्केट में भी घटी नहीं है, बढ़ के बन रही है। कौन सी लिया आपको तो मालूम है वो क्या बनाती है, पाउडर, टेल्कम पाउडर, ये जो अभी इसका डिमांड तो कभी गिरने वाला ही नहीं है। इंडिया में वो डिमांड तो कभी गिरता ही नहीं है, बढ़ता ही है। ये पाउडर की बात करता हूं साहब, मैं जितनी दफे बाहर गए पाउडर लगाया। तो ये पॉन्ड्स का जो शेयर है टेक्निकली बहुत स्ट्रांग लगता है, अभी फंडामेंटली आप दूसरों से पूछ लेना। इस खराब बाजार में भी गिरा नहीं। 585 बंद हुआ था बजट के दिन। बजट के बाद जब मार्केट खुला तो 650 होकर 510 बंद आया है। 590 बंद आया है। ये एक पहला, उसको बजट में भी फायदा है। गवर्नमेंट सरदार जी ने रिडक्शन किया है एक्साइज का। दूसरी बढ़िया चीज है सीमेंट्स। सीमेंट्स का शेयर भी इस खराब मार्केट में बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग इंडिकेशन दे रहा है। ये जो सीमेंट के शेयर हैं, अभी लोग जितना भी मंदी बोले आप खुश होना, आपको नीचे भाव में खरीदने का अच्छा चांस मिलेगा। तेजी के दो कारण होंगे। एक तो 32% प्लान आउटले जो बढ़ाया है, उसमें सबसे बड़ा फायदा होगा तो सीमेंट के कंपनियों को होगा। और कन्वर्टिबिलिटी के हिसाब से अगले साल भी अगर अपनी सीमेंट एक्सपोर्ट हो सकी थी, ये साल 50-60 लाख टन अगर सीमेंट एक्सपोर्ट हो गई तो मैं समझता हूं कि सीमेंट के शेयरों में भी बड़ी तेजी आएगी। अभी नहीं, थोड़े टाइम के बाद। और शुगर शेयरों के लिए भावी बहुत अच्छा है। उसमें बन्नारी अमन है, पौनी शुगर है, अरुणा शुगर है। ग्रेनाइट एक्सपोर्टिंग कंपनियों में से पैसिफिक ग्रेनाइट, जसवाल ग्रेनाइट और दो चार नाम अच्छे आप ढूंढ लेना। थैंक यू वेरी मच। थैंक यू।
You made a very interesting speech and you reminded me of an incident which was, I think it was about 15 or 20 years ago when I wrote about double tops and double bottoms. But then at that time I was young. Now, Harshad is my drum card. Why is he present here? Had he been not here, nobody would have come, but the audience is not having this much. And therefore when I am playing cards, don't expect me to throw away my drum card too easily. Now, but I will give you your expectation also. I would now request Ashwin Bhai to come.
I will tell you the purpose of the youth. I have not come here to speak anything on the budget. I think 47 budgets have gone, markets have gone up, gone down. When a good budget comes, market goes exceptionally up. When yet another good budget comes and it goes down, and we are all here, 5,000 of us, to understand why it goes up and why it goes down so much contrary to the past budget. The purpose of asking 10 rupees is to first of all tell you कि हम जितने लोग यहाँ इकट्ठे हुए हैं, we are all कुंभकर हैं. Markets are not made by fundamentals alone. Markets are made by fundamentals plus. And what is that plus? And that plus has to be analyzed and understood. Now the first thing is India is the only country, mind you I am repeating, India is the only country where you can sell the shares without having them and earn interest on it. So we are all talking about level playing field in all the industries, we want to go global, We are talking about integrating India, we are talking about transparency, we are talking about this regulation, that regulation. But where is the level playing field in the stock exchange? And the level playing field is not there, and here is the comparison. Of course, I have not prepared myself to speak to you. It has come as a surprise. But these were the notes I was just exchanging with Harshad in the afternoon. सबसे पहली बात तो मैंने जब आपको कहा कि आप कुंभकर्ण हैं, मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा कि आप अनाथ भी हैं. Because your 2 lakh crores have been liquidated in less than 18 months at a time when this country is going through historic moment and seeing 3 extraordinarily good budgets, and yet we are justifying. जब 800 से 1600 इंडेक्स हुई थी, कई लोगों ने कहा था कि ये 1600 इंडेक्स गलत है. And why in another 12 months today we are all forecasting that even 2400 is a bottom. Okay, you may not have the justification for 4537 index recorded on 2nd April. Who did it and how did it is another matter. Every time, every move of the market, there are some self-prophesizing people who say this is right level, this is wrong level. Levels are made by all of us, more particularly by the sentiment. When I say fundamental plus sentiment, that sentiment has to be understood, and who makes it, and how there is no level playing field, and how your 2 lakh crore is liquidated without your even raising a murmur about it. Go back to the reason that India is again the only country where you can sell shares, kitne? 20%, 30% of the equity of the company without having them. And then you also are the only country where shares are not eligible for finance. And you are made to pay 60%. I think smugglers in this country will get money at 30%. India is the only country where shares are considered not a good productive asset for lending. Elsewhere, even in the banks, they can give you money against receivables. Against bad debts, they will finance it. I have a due respect to Mr. Rai who is here. How can you say share is not a good financeable commodity? Elsewhere in the world it is. Why it is not in this country? So what you are doing in effect, you are choking the buyers and you are rewarding the sellers. And this is not just the one difference I am saying. Even our stock exchange does not recognize share as an acceptable security. Who in the world will recognize it? If I send shares as a margin, it is not, okay, you may say today is not the right forum, but I am trying to give you reasons why market is falling after such a good budget. So question is not whether budget is good or bad, the question is why markets behave the way they are and why these strange behaviors are there, which some of the so-called very intelligent people also don't understand. The reasons are nowhere else to seek than the last street. Come along and travel with me. How there is an imbalance. 5 or 10% can rule the nation, to the other way around also. There are liquidators of wealth who liquidate your wealth by hammering 20-30% of the equity. Has it happened first time? It has happened several times. Now, I was just talking about imbalance or disequilibrium on the front of interest and financing. Why elsewhere in the world, when you are talking about global, that you are saying कि 3 लाख तक का ही loan मिलेगा? Is there any protest? My dear Dinesh Bhai, I am telling you, 1928 and today it is 1992. I am there with you, I am not criticizing. We have to take up a cause of the investors that they are made to, suppose they want to buy a house or they want to marry their daughter, they have to sell the shares. Why? Whether or not they like it. What is so bad about raising money? Why do you say every investor who raises money against stock is a speculator? Why don't we create liquidity? Why does the liquidity come only through selling? Why this forced selling takes place? Who is going to look after your rights? If you do not wake up, I am saying please wake up. And now I will come to further steps. I was talking about lending. Now money is available at 8% in interbank market. And in stock exchange it is available at 60%. Do you see the disparity? How walls are erected, how regulations are there. Just because there is one artificial wall, that money from this side will not go to that side. At 8%, UTI cannot deploy money in the call market. Just because the capital market is untouchable, even if 50% return in Badla is available, they will not allow it to happen. Because it is financing of bulls. I am not here to take up the cause of the bull and bear. They are a necessary, integral part of the market. I am not against speculation. I am saying there should be even the hedging facility to everyone who is an investor. I was talking only about imbalance. I am not fighting with anybody. Now the imbalance about information. Now tell me, how many of you know that it is so easy to break the market? It is so easy to spread the rumor. It is so easy to bring down a stock from 150 within 5 minutes in 2 streets, the last street and the next one, you can hammer down, because all of us are gripped by fear very quickly. You may not be taken away by that Karnataka ball bearing. You may still take 5 minutes, but you will take half a minute to decide your decision if somebody is playing on your fear. And mind you, we have first-time investors, 5 crore of them. They are lacking in conviction because they are first-timers, and there are methods and techniques used on them so that they are scared into selling their stocks. And that is why Talaksibai has to say, please do not sell. Please use your sanity, please use your own conscience. The budget is not bad. Because some people have chosen to hammer down the market. You will be made to sell, they will quietly buy, they will make a certain profit, you will make a certain loss. If the equation is yours, you wake it up or forget it. You will keep allowing yourself to be used by these techniques. Whereas to take up the market, it has happened in money market also. I can tell you, to spread fear takes very little time. To plant greed, if that is the driving force to buy, takes much longer time. And then there is a disequilibrium. Look at the board. Every now and then you will find the whole system is so designed that there is no check. I am saying you are orphan. I can tell you there are so many agencies, so many regulations. Has anybody come forward and taken up your cause? And that is why you have to spend 10 rupees. I will tell you how to spend it also. First of all, 5,000 of you are here. You are going to resolve that your earning and your wealth is very hard earned. Can you disagree with me? Is it a wealth that you are going to fritter it away for somebody who wants to play on you? So first resolve that who is going to protect your wealth is your own self. And how do you do it? Maybe individually you wait for some Harshad Mehta to come. I don't agree with him. You don't need a Harshad Mehta. You are yourself Harshad Mehta. You protect. How many times you have taken out a morcha? Talaksibai was talking about 300 rupees rise and 3,000 rupees demand. They go and take out a morcha. How many of you have ever gathered at Sachivalaya? Even if thousands of rupees are gone away. How many of you have ever told Mr. G.V. Ramakrishna that we are under your custody and see to it that there is no bear hammering? How many? There is no one bothers that. So you take up your own issue, my dear friend. You take out that 10 rupees, go to the telegraph office. If you cannot personally go, flood the authorities with 15 paisa postcards. The prices, I think, of postcards have not changed. If you can't physically go, raise your issues that somebody is hammering down in wealth. Your wealth is melting. 2 lakh crores. That 1600 was a false move. It happened in 3.5 months. They said it was a wrong move. How in another 6 months that 1600 became the bottom? I am pure fundamentalist more than anything, but on my 10-year career, I can tell you, I have gone through thousands of balance sheets. I am not professing much, but I came to this conclusion that fundamentals plus sentiment, and therefore the sentiment has to be built up. And for that building up of sentiment, you have to see who are the people who are affecting that sentiment. Creation of wealth for investor is not bad. It will translate into a vibrant economy in certain times, and we see everybody prophesizing. I mean, have you seen RBI governor ever telling you at 800 and something that the index is very low, please buy? If he does that, he is very right in saying that 4,500 market is overheated. Is anybody signaling you when the market is underheated? Nobody does that. Why? They are there to scare you. They are not there to advise you that the level is low. Those who are not supposed to advise will also advise. My dear friends, I am trying to tell you, I am not justifying 4,500, I am not justifying 800. I am justifying how the mechanism of the whole regulatory framework works, where they are there to scare you and not encourage you. They are there to stop you rather than taking our equity promotion work or equity card promotion. Now look at the budget also. Last year I said that people will stop giving any jokes on Sardarji because Dr. Manmohan Singh has really done a yeoman service. In the last 3 years we have seen a fundamental change in India. Last year he said equity was a productive asset. Why he has developed cold feet this time? If he can give 4,000 crore, and today, the other day they were saying it on TV, by the time we came to the point of corporate taxation, we saw that our coffers are empty. Can't you even spare, you know how much is collected by way of taxation on dividend? Sometimes about 80 crore. You think they don't have 80 crore, or they don't have a desire to do something for the investor? If you have 5,000 crore, and you don't have 80 crore for the investor, and what role are you playing? You are the risk taker on whose back every management comes and sucks you and takes the risk capital from you and maybe give you a dividend after 5-10 years. Who takes the risk? Yeah. So what is it that is coming as a big favor? What is the shortage in this country? There is excess debt. There is acute shortage of capital. There is 22% saving rate and there is 2% of the population coming to invest in the stock exchange. And who is the major beneficiary? And 80 crore if you part, whom are you giving it? To your own institutions who are holding roughly 30 to 40% of the equity, to your own mutual fund, to your own equity which is nothing but a junk, and the day you are going to place it, starting from 256 companies they have, now they have just chosen 30 companies for which they think they have a value to give to the investor, and therefore they are going to place that paper on you. And why should you carry the burden if the government doesn't have 80 crore for you? So, 1 year there is blowhard, another year there is blowfall. And not for nothing people get disheartened. Because people expect, and it is a reasonable expectation, 80 crore is not a very large sum. Look at surcharge could have been done away with. Now the day budget came, Dr. Manmohan Singh was asked a question, why the markets have gone down. He said, I have taken care of the fundamentals, and I am sure investors will understand those fundamentals over a course of period, and the health of the corporate bodies will get reflected in their performance, and investors will be shrewd enough to understand. That means you want to leave it to itself rather than playing an active role of promotion of equity cult. 15,000 crore has been raised, you know the sum that they want. 38,000 crore is the interest burden each year that all of us are bearing. Another 2 years we will be 50,000 crore. And that would make 45% of your total revenue. And you are already borrowing just to pay the interest, leave aside the principal. To that extent, more than our head we have borrowed internally. We have yet to default because there is nothing like pledging gold to honor your local debt. We have just faced that reality as far as external debt is concerned. So why not do something for the investors? Why not create capital? Why not invite risk capital? Use that base of 5,000 of us and 5 crore of us elsewhere in the country to build up. And build up a base where you can raise 30,000-40,000 crore annually and change the whole profile of debt equity mix. Well, I think this is where the budget has been lacking. It is good, it is bold, it reads well along with the first two ones, but when it comes to investors, definitely it is lacking. And for nothing is lost, I can tell you again, nothing is lost if we take care of this disequilibrium between bulls and bears. And that is where all of us have to resolve today, first to get the membership in Shareholders Association. Secondly, we have to find out a forum we can take our morcha. Thirdly, Delhi is really very far off. The bureaucrats have never understood the investors, the bureaucrats have never understood the markets, and therefore it is we who have to take up our cause, not sending very long memorandums. You know, the whole solution is one line. I am not talking here of any theory. I say you can freely sell the share. Do not pay interest on it. How to do? If you want to sell the shares in the forward account, you give the distinctive number. That's all that needs to be done. If you give the distinctive number, you may not deliver. Just one line solution, I can tell you, my friends here will approve that 4,500 index was right, and the sentiment will automatically take care, because we are rewarding the 3 and 5% of the community, and in fact some of them are my friends, and I would like to even request them. Of course, Sri Hemendra Kothari was not here. I wish I would have even clearly advised that the pleasure of seeing people make money is much, much greater than the pleasure that you get out of creating a fear psychosis in the market and seeing some people liquidating their wealth and you amassing wealth. Now again, I'm talking about level playing field. You check up with the records of income tax department, how many bears have been raided. You will rarely find. How many bears? I am telling you, you go and it is verifiable by record. And I dare and I give a challenge to any and everybody. How many bears in this country? You can see the bulls are singled out. One after another, they are center of. And it doesn't matter. Today, maybe we will bear it. I'm telling you honestly, we will bear it. We are planning to get back, and we will. But know your friends, investors, my dear friends, you wake up and know who is Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, who is JethMalani, who is all these people you must know. And drop a polite letter. I am telling you, drop a polite letter. I am Gandhiji myself also in that respect. Go and tell them, please dear sir, excess is not going to help beyond the point. Please do not rape us. That's all you have to say. And I'll tell you, 20 letters will go. Maybe it will have an impact. 500 letters will go, 5,000 letters will go. And all of us together, you don't know the might that we have. Is enormous. And then let us play. It is there on the ring. There has to be bulls, there have to be bears, there can be option trading also. But there should be no reward for an unproductive activity. We are on a death wish, otherwise I can tell you. To wait for somebody else to take up the market so that I gain is not going to work. We have to act ourselves. We have a lot of people who keep easily poisoning our minds about peace. I can have 1 hour debate here if all of you are willing with any and everybody. Japanese economy was peace, running together 40, 50 PE for years together. And temporarily, even if PEs have gone up, whose benefit is it? Investor one, but more importantly, the corporate sector. And that is why Harshad used to say that 3,000, 2,500 ACC is definitely higher price than 10,000 ACC. Because at 10,000, you can replace 7.5 million capacity with equity addition of just 55 crore. What's that? So, I would like to conclude that we are on a death wish. If we do not act, do not protect our wealth, do not request Dinesh Bhai to fervently take up our cause, I will not leave it to advising. Personally, I feel I am dedicating myself. Any help, anything that we can do, Dinesh Bhai, I am going to be in touch with you. And please, for God's sake, I have nothing against individuals. And let there be a healthy market. Let there be two views. People have to buy, people have to sell. There has to be contrary view. But just create a level playing field. Just see that there is no inbuilt mechanism in the system where the favor is given to one section to the disadvantage not of the bulls but also the investors. And you recognize the right side and the right people. That's about all. I have nothing much to say beyond this. Good evening. Thank you very much.
And this is exactly what I told when somebody asked me after the budget, and I told, well, as long as there are terrorists in the market, market will not go up. Rightly pointed out that we must unite together. Unless we unite together, investors as a whole, we will not be able to get the result. And therefore I say, let the investors of the world unite together. We have nothing to lose but our isolation and our desperation. Now, I will now request my colleague Mr. Thapar to introduce Mr. Ram Tiwari.
Thank you very much. Please, gentlemen, up till now the decorum has been maintained. I hope you will be patient with us. Now, in order to get a clear perception, we should see the fundamentals and the theoretical part of it also. And for that, we have the best speaker for that is Mr. Ram Piparia. He was educated at Columbia University and the New York University in USA. He took his MBA degree in 1966 and then he set up his Aridhi Investment Consultants. Aridhi is a well-known portfolio management services. He has also written 3 books. The books named The Money Game, The Corporate Number Game, The Bull, The Bear and The Blue Chips. Mr. Ram Piparia is also the founder chairman of Aridhi High-Tech Industries, which is a listed company. I am sure his viewpoint from the management side of what he views the budget as would be very useful to us. We welcome Mr. Ram Piparia on the mic. Please.
And that's why the expectations were belied and the markets went down. What I'm trying to make is, as Mr. Ghoshal mentioned, that you can expect a good budget in next year. People already know what is going to happen. Customs duties, excise duties get more rationalized. There will be lower reduction. There will be reduction in taxes. So therefore, the relevance of the budget will gradually reduce. The last point which I'd like to mention is that you are going to see, besides companies going up, unexpected companies going up and down, in the coming years, you will see a lot of introduction of new instruments. At the moment, before the stock markets really became popular with investors, people were contented with tax-sheltered investments or with deposits with the bank. Then there was a swing on the other side, and people even closed down their businesses, forgot their deposits, and swung to the equity side. But as any prudent investor would say, there has to be a mix of debt and equity. Unfortunately, as of today, debt instruments do not have much of a liquidity. But I expect that in the months and years ahead, there will be tremendous liquidity created for debentures, and probably more, the loans will be mortgage, housing loans. There will be more liquidity created for public sectors. So you will see more tailor-made instruments being offered for children's education, for retirement, and for other needs. So there are exciting times ahead, and that's all that I'd like to say. Thank you very much.
Piparia is an investment analyst, and we thought that we will be educated by his analysis. But anyway, he has given us an exciting speech in an exciting period ahead. Now I will invite Kamlesh Bhai Gandhi, and I will ask my friend to introduce Kamlesh Bhai.
And he is the designated chairman and managing director of CIFCO, Champaklal Investment and Financial Consultancy. He was involved in merchant banking for the past 22 years and directly involved. He was the director of several companies, that is CIFCO Finance Limited. He was the chairman and director of Dr. Reddy's Laboratories, director Caminor Drugs, and director Kirloskar Investment and Finance. We will surely be benefited by the viewpoint, by the perceptions of Mr. Kamlesh Gandhi on this budget. I welcome Mr. Kamlesh Gandhi. Please, sir.
Thank you for having me here this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The first thing I noticed is that progressively from 19 to 1981 to 1993, the number of ladies in an audience of this time is increasing gradually. In 1981, there were just about 5 of them. I am not able to count all of them here. the stock market has a better attraction than men probably. B, it's far more lucrative to look at the stock market than the kitchen. But here we had a little while ago, where he's still here, someone's about 7 years, and I'm so intrigued to find that they start so young in the stock market. You could have brought more friends with you. I won't take more of your time, but I'll virtually take nothing. For the simple reason, I think time is running out. The last train may go home, and you want Mr. Mehta, and you want him long. You don't want him for a shorter time. And I think I would like to come between you and him. All I'd like to make is 3 points, not really on what you should buy, what you should not buy. Because I had from Dinesh Bhai a letter which I saw this morning after a return out of 3 days, asking me to, well, he said what each of the speakers is supposed to do, and there were 5 things that he wanted from each of us. First was the perception of the market in the next, 4 weeks, 4 months, and 18 months. Number 3, one of the friendly proposals, the unfavorable proposals, the effect of the above proposals mentioned in the item 2, etc. Forecast the pattern move of the BAC index, and scripts not more than 10. I am the least qualified to answer any of these questions, very honestly, ladies and gentlemen. I don't, in my name, in my family's name, I don't own companies, hold a single script of any company, either in India or internationally. I add this word internationally because you see whole lot of companies abroad. So, A, I've never bought shares in the market, not that I think it's not a good thing to do. I am a stockbroker of the Bombay Stock Exchange, which is not disclosed to them, for the simple reason I've never practiced as a stockbroker. I bought my membership ticket in 1981, when the price of a ticket then was 65,000 rupees. In the year of 1993, I believe I never tried to evaluate it. If I do, the income tax will probably come after me tomorrow morning. I haven't learned on that card. I believe it's been one of my best investments. I can encash it at probably over a crore rupees, I'm told. Over time, I said I want to sell this. And everybody said, wait, you'll make more money. I waited. I waited at 25 lakhs, I waited at 50 lakhs, I waited at 75 lakhs. At a crore, I said, I think this is good. Probably I can retire in a little place, take life easy, read the economic times, and keep following the market, because I don't have to worry about that. I've still been told don't sell it. What does it mean? Hold on to good stocks, you'll never go wrong, I think, including the membership of the Bombay Stock Exchange. Second thing is the market. In fact, it's the most progressive. Stock market is the most progressive place in this country. We have one single problem in this country is we live in history. We live from the time when Ashoka was the king of this country. We look at the glory of Mahatma Gandhi. We look at the glory of Lord Buddha. Every day 5,000 such names. And we blame it on the British for everything that's gone wrong in this country. The 300 years of colonial rule. Look what they've done to us. 47 years we've got after the British went back to the country. They are not going to come and help us around the country. We have to write ourselves. Stock market, and I said, you can't change history. You can't rewrite history. It has happened, it is yesterday. Tomorrow is another day. It can be a very wonderful day. What you have to do is, you have to make the tomorrow. You have, and the stock market is the only place which doesn't go by history. Fundamentals is based on balance sheet, history. Balance sheet doesn't have a story, it is only numbers. This is what Mr. Mehta said, that analysis is fine, fundamentals is fine, sentiment comes in the way. I don't think you're able to choose your life's partner by looking at a photograph. You got to see her. The photograph conveys what he or she looks like. When you meet the person, you really know whether you can get along or not. That is what is very important. That soul comes in when you look at the sentiment part of it. And the market runs on 2 emotions, greed and fear. The greed comes in when they're not popular about the bull phase. Nobody says, I'm told it's about 20,000, after that exactly 18,000. And then Kalakshiba's theory comes 50-50. You can't go wrong in that. Either way you win. Number 2 is the fear. In a falling market, everybody wants to exit. Like Mr. Harshad Mehta said, it takes 1 minute for people to sell shares on a rumor that the market is crashing or a script is going down. And you correctly said it takes a long while for a man to say, to make a buy decision. The sell decision is different from a buy decision. And very rightly some of them said that, make up your mind, be analytical yourself. You may not have all the tools. Go to the people who have the correct tools. Let me ask you a question. How many of you trust your broker? I've probably 5 fingers going up or 10 fingers going up. Why? Everyone of you talks to your doctor as respect. You do what he tells you to do. You go to him, I have X problem. He says, take this and you do it blindly. Probably won't go and check with the other doctors. You go to your lawyer, you go to your solicitor. Why? Because you believe he knows the subject better. He says, do this, write this letter, answer the notice accordingly. You do that. You don't go to the second lawyer or the third lawyer or the 10th lawyer for that. Do you do that with a stockbroker? No. Select a stockbroker. Look at a professional. Look at one you think you trust. After having trusted him, don't question him every third minute. Why did you buy this trade? Why did you do this? Why do you think? Change it once and for all. But select one and stay put. Trust him and leave it to his judgment. If you believe he is good, I'm sure he's telling you what is good for you. Because what is good for you is ultimately good for him. He doesn't have to advertise to get his business. You are his biggest salesperson. You say that this gentleman, this firm is professional, they know what to tell us, they know when to tell us to do what. This is something very important for all of us. And I think probably there are very few people who go by the stockbroker's advice at one shot. Well, there are quite a few, but very few in competitive profession. They probably talk with four. Believe me, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to be confused, because you have four different opinions on the same script. How are you going to make up your mind? It's very difficult to do that. This is part of what I call the education program or the learning curve. I have seen Mr. Mehta making various notes. In fact, for the last 2.5 hours, or almost 2 hours now, 2 hours in here, his probably mind has been working at whirlwind speed. About 10 minutes it takes for making a little note. I try to look at it, but he writes it so well, I don't know what is written there. He writes it in a manner, keeps it there at an angle, the light hits. I gave it up. Otherwise, I've probably taken a couple of secrets and told you already, and got the credit for it. Having said this, the budget is what we were supposed to talk about. As Mr. Gosar said, the other side of the matter. There's enough said about the budget. It's printed, it's written, it's analyzed, it's discussed, views, good, bad. I think we've seen, as somebody said earlier, 47 budgets. And I think the last few years have been good. If you have confidence in this country, if you have confidence in the way things are like to move, and more important, if you have confidence in yourself, I think you can't go wrong in the long term if you're an investor. The biggest problem today is everybody wants to make money in probably a gap of 10 years. I had this told to me, my friends, saying, can you give us a good tip? I said, I don't give tips because it's dangerous. Oh, no, tell us what you think you should buy. You come up and say, I think X is good at this price level, say 20. I like them young. I mean, young means, don't misunderstand me in terms of young, because everybody's got a one-track mind when he talks of whatever Mr. Gosar said. I like scripts to be young, low class, because A, for an average small investor, the risk-bearing capacity is limited. You probably can buy for 50,000 rupees that you have, X number of shares which are valued, let's say 20 rupees each, but you can't buy two in the other. Leave it to the big daddy. You try and do what you have with your money. Because A, the loss will be lower. B, it can appreciate much faster in terms of percentage, and you can turn it around when the time comes. Go back and check if somebody is ready to do it. But they come and say, oh, it's going to double in what? 15 months time, 12 months time, that's too long. I said, look, it can happen 6 to 8 months time. And I'm giving you a time frame, to be on the safe side. You're being very safe about it. 6 months is going to be bad if it happens in 10 days time. So how can it happen in 10 days time? It's better still. Buy for me on a Monday what you think is good. Sell it on a Friday and send the check for the difference. What he means is, you do what you're thinking, you implement it, take all the risks, and send me the profits. Then I was so good at the subject, I'd make the money myself. Why should I do everything for you and send you a check, a gift every week? That's exactly what happened. The great part of the trade between. I think one has to be dispassionate about that. We also have a very high sense of possession in this country, especially Indians. We don't send our gold. I can challenge every female here, if I said, look, what's your gold at 300 rupees a crore, I whatever, 3,000. I don't know the price of gold because I don't feel like buying it. I think the stock market is a better place than a piece of gold. Honestly, I think it's going to be bigger in the long run. How many of you have invested in your gold if it appreciates by 10 times in 5 years? I don't see any fingers going down. That sense of possession. Security is what we think. You probably sell your shares in the double tomorrow morning. Why? Because that's not gold. You want to give it to your daughter, your children, your daughter-in-law, whatever it is. Fine, I'm not questioning the fact that there is high interest rates. It also happens in the stock market. If a company is going down, or if you feel that your broker says it's like good sale at this price, you say, but I don't need the money, what should I sell it? You don't need the money, fine, take it, put it to something else. That will do better than this one. Turn it around and get someone to do it for you if you can't do it yourself. At this, I think I wouldn't like to go further into the subject, but I would like to end with one thing. Please have confidence in yourself when you enter the stock market. Don't expect miracles, except that they come your way. Don't expect to get money and doubling your profits every 10 days. Phases will come, phases will go. Booms and busts, whatever they are, supposed to be highs and lows, have come and gone. The analysis given by almost here, everybody here made a tremendous amount of sense. I will use indexes, and I think index is not the only relevant portion. Index consists of X number of companies, and you can't have only those shares. I think bulk of you sitting here would have entered the stock market first to the primary market, because it's easier to do. You don't need a broker to do it for you. You fill up a form, write a check and give it. And slowly you enter, because I've seen this in the, what they call the fed-up dilution days of the 70s. I think the number of populations went up from about 2.2 million, that is 22 lakhs in the mid-70s, to what is 5 crores today. I think almost 40% of this additional incremental number came during the fed-up dilution days. Why? You got a Colgate at 25, you applied for it. You got a Pachani at 16. You got a Cadbury at something similar like that. Why? Because it was priced by somebody for you. You could go wrong. You got it. You picked it up. That's how you entered the market. Having entered that stage, do you think you've gone wrong in those shares? You haven't gone wrong probably. You've done well over it. Keep that at the back of your mind. Do it, and I don't think you'll go wrong in the years to come. Thank you very much.
I was talking about the gold, and that thought passed to my mind that we have a gold bond scheme coming on the next week where you can convert your money into gold and it will appreciate as it appreciated in 1965, 10 times, 15 times. At that time I remember gold bond when it came in 1965, it was available at 84 rupees. Those who bought at 84 sold it at 2,600. Friends, now we are almost at the end of the list, and the last but one speaker is Mr. Rajshekhar Iyer.
I'm sure he doesn't need any introduction. Okay.
When the key element in the budget, I think, when we analyze it, is that Mr. Manmohan Singh has given to consumers a lot in terms of excise cuts and customs cuts. He has given a lot to producers in terms of cut in costs for their raw materials and capital goods. Where has he financed his budget from? He has not raised any additional revenues from anywhere. A close look at the budget shows that he is effectively expecting capital expenditure to come from the public in the form of public sector disinvestment, which we estimate at least 5,200 crores over the next 13 months. State Bank of India and other banks disinvesting their shares, which should be another 5,000 crores. And at least another 20,000 crores raised from the primary market. Any reason to be bearish on the market in the short run? This is the only reason. On the other hand, the budget seeks to correct the imbalance between technicals and fundamentals. Last year we had a market at 4,500 with most companies likely to report disappointing results because of recessionary trends which had developed into the economy. As it turned out, major automobile manufacturers and textile manufacturers did report lower performance. This year we are having a market which is low, but corporate performance is likely to be better. So to answer the few questions that Mr. Modi wanted us to look at, in the short term, I think in 4 to 6 weeks, we should expect the market to be bad because of expectations of poor results for March. The poor results should be as a result not only of the recessionary trends in the economy, but also because of the loss of production and sales in December and January. We cannot expect that many companies will report very good performances from March. So for the immediate next 4 to 6 weeks, we should expect a weak market. In the medium term, over a period of 4 to 6 months, I feel fairly confident that the market should bottom out and commence a recovery. The important reason for this would be FII investment flow. Foreign investment institutions have shown considerable interest in the country. If they have a problem, it seems to be a problem of lack of availability of stocks rather than lack of interest in stocks. But they are getting geared, and I think over the next 4 to 6 months we will see some activity from them. The other reason we should see the market pick up is better corporate performances expected in September because of the various duty reliefs and the interest cost reduction, which should improve corporate profits. Over the long term, after 1 year, we must expect a strong recovery in the market as companies start showing results on the funds that have been collected in the current year and in the last year, and also a massive inflow of funds from foreign investment institutions. Because there has been only one area where the government has given incentive for investment. There's a 30% rate for short-term capital gains for FIIs. This is comparable to what is available in the Pacific Ring and what is available in the US for short-term gains. This should boost the short-term sentiments of the long-term sentiments of the market. The most important reason why one can feel bullish about the market is that even at this stage, and as things develop over the next 1 year, one can expect a number of companies to show better performances. And at the current prices that are available, these companies have started looking very attractive to buy. Now you cannot have a market where there are a large number of commodities available at reasonable prices and overall bearishness in the market. Today we have investment worthy securities in the market across various industries. If you look at pesticides, a stock like United Phosphorus should probably show 10 crores more profit just because of the benefits which have been available to the budget. Company like Asia Brown Boveri should benefit because of the power sector incentives which have been given, and there should be a large boost to demand from the power sector. Companies like Indian Dyestuff Industries, where raw material costs have virtually come crashing down, and export demand is very attractive for these companies. Small companies like Prestige Polycontainers, which buy HDPE, and 65% of the turnover comes in HDPE cost, should benefit substantially because HDPE, which they are buying at 60 rupees a kilo, is now available at 45 rupees a kilo. So there should be benefit for them. A large company like Reliance Industries, which makes about 350,000 tons of plastics, has been able to reduce prices by 7.5% and become more competitive with imports. Already they were competitive with imports. I think they should benefit in a very big way. A company like Lakme, which was competing with SSI units primarily because it was paying a hell of a lot of excise, whereas SSI units were not paying excise, should benefit very substantially. Companies like Asian Paints should benefit very largely because of drop in orthoxylin prices, resulting in drop in phthalic anhydride prices, allowing them to reduce the price of their products and boost demand. Wockhardt, which made an issue recently, I think will probably announce better results than what was projected in their prospectus, making it a very attractive buy. It's available at 20 rupees cheaper than the issue price of the company. I think companies like East India Hotels and other hotel companies, we can go on and on. There are a large number of companies which have benefited as a result of the budget. These benefits will probably show in September 1993 and in March 1994. All that we need is for someone to come and buy those shares. I think that buying will come from the form of FII institutions, and once that comes, the confidence of the investors and the sentiment factor that we are talking about will also be restored, and we could expect a fairly bullish market in 1994. I'll leave this floor to me.
And now we are coming to what we have come. Before I ask questions, I should see small formality. As Mark, I would request company secretary, association secretary, honorary secretary, to present a small souvenir to all our guests who are here as a mark of memory and remembrance. Mr. Kaushik. He will present to Mr. Talapsi Bhai. To Ashwin Bhai. Thank you, Ashwin Bhai. To Kamlesh Bhai. Thank you, Kamlesh Bhai. To Harshad Bhai. To Ajit Bhai. And Sri Raj Shekhar Iyer. And last but not the least, Mr. Giga. Thank you. And friends, before you go and after Sri Harshad has spoken, please wait, because then we will be proposing a vote of thanks. You have sat here for 2.5 long hours. 5 minutes will not make a difference, but we should not be discourteous to our guests. So I request all of you to wait after Harshad has spoken and the vote of thanks is proposed. This is a small request, friends. And finally, before I hand over the mic to Mr. Harshad, a couple of things about our association. It is one of the oldest association in the whole of the country. And friends, this is the time that investors have to get together, and only a collective action will bring the result. We are all talking of high premium. Kamlesh Bhai talked about the easy route of primary market, but that easy route has now become a very bleak and dark route, because once the person enters into this route, he gets into the box. Because he either buys the shares, he cannot sell even at the cost price, or cannot be traded at all, or there is no broker to sell this share. This is the plight of the investor. And therefore, we have all to join together. And therefore, those who are not members of the association, please enroll. It is a very nominal fee, and you can enroll as members of the association. The forms will be available outside, and those who are members, they can please join us in a free drink which is available outside, and then go home. And now I will ask.
Good job.
My third brother, who is a surgeon, would have been there to measure my heart rate. Please help me to stand properly. Respected President and members, eminent members on the dais, and you all friends. Last week, I like to talk in the language what all you will be able to understand. I will put it in Gujarati, Hindi. Gujarati! A language from his heart coming to your heart. Allow me to talk. Last week what happened that one of my friends came rushing. He told me, Harshad, there is a great news for you. I was also quite anxious for quite some time. I have not been getting very good news from him. He said, I have an inside information for you. He said, I have an inside information for you. I was curious, but I said, you talk to me though. His inside is very difficult and so better be easy on it. He said that now onwards difficult for me even to control my thinking. I said, what is so great? He said, I have found out some way where you don't have to pay taxes. Unnecessarily this IT department is after you and claiming some 12,000 crore. You will be relieved of all these things. And I was quite curious to know what it is. He said, the effect is like you are in a Cayman Island. You don't have to pay any taxes. And I asked him, after all, why you are making it so mysterious? What is so great thing? He said, one thing you have to just stop. You have to observe something. I said, what is it? He said, stop earning. So if you don't earn, there won't be any income tax. I said, wow, really great. And I thought of really following it. Friends, I had crossed all my imagination levels for myself. And it is a human nature, and especially an ambitious person like me, to look for bigger and bigger challenges. At one point of time, there were challenges to make money for yourself. Then to make money in much bigger numbers. Then to become or come on the board of some companies. Then what? Then I thought, now let's work on the national finances. Finances on the investors, where you can talk of 50,000 crore and where you can talk of 2 lakh crores. So I said, how to start this exercise? If you really want to start, where do I start? And then came the budget. Unfortunately, I don't hold any of those degrees which makes me to comment. By whatever I could understand, whatever I could read, this has been a very, very creative budget. It has tackled one of the biggest problems which our country was facing last 18 months, or especially last 1 year. That is of demand recession. Cut in various excise duties and import duty reduction will definitely bring in better industrialization, better environment. But where things went wrong, especially from the capital market point of view, because I feel that I am more from the capital market than to talk. It was the imbalance created between the demand and supply. Last 1 year, if you try and analyze, on one side, as if there is not going to be any tomorrow, almost all corporates and governments started raising resources from this market. Really unprecedented demand came on the funds from the market. On the other side, suddenly all the areas or avenues of the finance coming to the market was choked. So big gap suddenly was created. On one side, substantial supply, demand of money came in a very big number, and on the other side, total supply was overnight choked, without going into the reasons of it. Then what happened? In this budget, people started expecting. 15 days back,
environment was getting created that our Honorable Finance Minister will see to it that better environment is created. Environment to invite substantial savings which we have towards the productive purposes. As last year we mentioned that equity is a productive asset. And as you know, there is no shape or size of expectation. Same way, people started looking towards that the process of creating an environment will get on. And there came a blow. Industry and capital market plays a complementary role to each other. There cannot be lopsided approach where you try to make industry healthy, but you don't create environments at the capital market for savings to go towards. They have, and the government could analyze that yes, capital market is one place which can offer tremendous opportunity for raising resources. In this budget also, if you see 3,500 crores of PSU placement is worked out. Further, although they have not been able to place last year's balances. Not only that, they have also suggested good banks to go and raise resources from the capital market. How can the capital market can sustain this burden unless you try and open it up? Unless even you try and say that we are concerned about it. Right, somebody, Mr. Wright suggested that 10% change in the corporate tax may not make much of a difference in the financials. But it helps that yes, government is concerned about the investors. It shows its consciousness. It shows it that the one who is investing money in this corporate are entitled for better returns. And as Ashwin has rightly analyzed, that stock market is just not the data or just not the science, it is a mixture of science and art together. The art is what which is related to your feeling, which is where your sentiment part comes in. That's why it is not 10% reduction in financial terms, but that 10% of 500 crores worth relief for the investors or savers would have allowed this government to raise 10,000 crore more than what they have raised. Something I would like to bring out, our most eminent personality, Mr. Pasriwala, what he has said. I do not find single reason for not raising the income tax threshold limit except the government's greed, and there should be a countrywide agitation against it. Why? Our finance minister making some promises, why can't we fulfill this? Isn't we eligible for building up expectations of what he has said? He has committed last year. And this is what has happened. It is not 10% or it is not few crores. It is the betrayal of the trust all these investors had in the finance minister. It is reflected in the capital market. And Ashwin also rightly said that nobody takes care of your interests. You are destitute and you are orphan unless you take care of your own self. Think of those farmers. Even when there was a news in air that there will be a cut in farmer subsidy, what, how, where was even not known. But you have seen the rallies going in Delhi and farmers shouting for their rights. But here, 1.5 lakh crore diluted, no problem. Your money goes drain. Find the reason. Probably it was Harshad Mehta or probably this, and forget about it. कुछ नहीं तो भाई सट्टा किया था, दिमाग ऐसा हाथ पे रख दिया और क्या है? You are investors. Where is the speculation part of it? And I think I will be repeating again. If 3,000 crore was project some industrialist had to put in, he brings in 50 crores of his own, and 2,950 crore he borrows for the industrial project which is going to come with the profitability after 5 years. Is a creation, is a creative activity in this country. But somebody who is forecasting that just after 5 months this company is going to do well, but he is borrowing a part of his money to buy those shares is speculative. Why can't we get out of this speculative and speculation? Our life itself is a speculation whether we are going to breathe the next moment or not. It's not known. What is the solution? We all have problems. We can always suggest our problems. And I don't think anybody is just interested in hearing problems only. One simple solution. I am today a salesman to make you all a member of Bombay Shareholder Association. Let their resolutions be passed. Let Dinesh Bhai take up the cause on your behalf to write it to Finance Minister that this many people look towards this all benefit which has been promised, and you want us to subscribe to your capital. Please create an environment. There will be a little bit repetition also, as Ashwin was suggesting that our stocks are not at all taken as a asset. In this country, we can get money on the promises or signing of promissory notes, but we don't get on the actual assets, that is equity. Okay, I mean the reason comes that we can't afford to divert our resources to speculative purposes. When we are financing equity, it is a speculative purpose. Don't do it. I agree that yes, probably according to your standards, financing or offering finances towards equity may be a speculative purpose. Open the doors for us to go to the foreign bankers abroad and let us borrow money against that. That's not going to touch your resources in this country. We will be able to bring the FIs, we will be able to bring the money. Make it free. Create an environment for them to come and finance our equity. Let them be a lender. Not only create an environment to come in as an investor, let the lenders also come in. If you can't trust, you don't expect them to trust your companies and your stock exchanges. Once they come in as a lender, very well they can become an investor tomorrow. We have seen what has happened in Argentina. There, the inflation rate has come down from 2000 and odd percentage to just 17.5%. On making a free environment for anybody to come in and buy whatever they want, especially stocks. PSU stocks has been diluted. Not only that, they said, okay, you can't come in as an investor, we are prepared to guarantee your returns. But do come, we are creating an environment for you. And that's the way the finances of these countries have changed. See what happens in the budget speech. I was shocked reading it today. In the budget speech, our finance ministry says that dollar will get stabilized at 28. And all the calculations are made according that it will be stabilizing at 28. What is the act? You don't have the conviction. You go and buy dollar today, $300 million, when it is trying to come down at 31.90. What is its justification? You don't trust your country's rupee. Don't allow it to come down. Just few days back when you have said that it is going to come down to 28, how can you make it to stop at 31.90 or 32? Are we going to manage situations this way? Are we going to create? I understand that the life is mix of performance and perception. We call it a water and gold theory. Gold has got no performance value, but still because of a very strong perception and security value attached to it, we are always prepared to pay the price. Simultaneously, you can't live without water. A glass of water, you can't just live for a day. But still, if somebody asks you for 2 rupees a glass, you say, don't be stupid. That is the difference. It's not the performance, it is the perception has been making the price of this commodity. And that remains true in the stock market. That also remains true for the various foreign exchange markets. The distortion, it's not only government, as Ashwin mentioned, it will be reputation. I read 3 days back that Morgan Stanley has assessed, and they say that corporate earnings of this country will go by 35%. And it is a good investment opportunity. I was feeling pity about the research, although very well managed. Because the research of few people here who have found out that without investing resources, you get the return of 35 to 70% in a more secured manner. Go short. Morgan Stanley needs to deploy resources and may or may not. But here is a certain system which puts you at par with the financer. Why can't we look into this system? SEBI has made few rules. Somebody who buys 5% of the stock should declare that he has bought 5% of stock. If he buys 10% of stock, then he has to offer the same opportunity to almost all the investors to create the balance. What happens to a person who goes short for 20%? Is he offering the same opportunity to everybody? When he hasn't got any share, can go even short. There have been instances that the company has issued 60 lakh shares and the short sale is of more than 30 lakh shares. Unrestricted, no check. And this has been brought out to SEBI not now, long back. It's not that this anomaly only in the system. Also look at that how this feeling is further harnessed. If you continuously look at the margin system, which will clearly tell you that you have a special privilege if you go short. Margin levels are comparatively always lower than the margins on the book. Sorry, although I am known as Big Bull, but I am not wanting to talk just because I am a bull. I am trying to bring out some facts which this distortion is the distortion which is playing havoc on your money, on your assets. Somebody who wants to buy has to have the finances, somebody wants to sell, he need not have anything. And no check. So that is the second resolution we need to. The solution is that let Dinesh Bhai take up, that we all resolve that this should be brought up to SEBI, that they have to check this. Beg your pardon? So friends, I've already more than 2.5 hours has been taken on it for around 3 hours. Your wish. Your wish. Our eminent Ms. Nani Palkiwala also made a remark saying that after 45 years, first time human resources is being recognized as a capital in this country. Now I want to ask, after 45 years, we haven't recognized the capital itself as a capital in this country. What do we do about human resources capital recognized as capital? Let's change our views. Let's change the perception. Now, talking about the industry, as I will be violating the rules set for the game by Mr. Dinesh Modi by not answering few questions. Question number 1, in short term, I feel market is going through adjustment phase. And let me tell you, these adjustment phases are the phases which gives you best of opportunity to invest. But whomsoever is investing, he has to first check his mentality. Whether he is an investor or he wants to make money, like Kamlesh Bhai was saying that, okay, balance you send it to me. Sorry, I don't think speculator has ever made money. I tried earlier with all the resources, information, knowledge, and being in the market, with all those privileges, the experience has been thoroughly negative. So if you ask me first, please stay off. Nobody has ever made money in speculation. Be an investor, and investor always feels happy when the market goes down because he feels that is a better opportunity. The one who is with Pratak Vruti, as Mr. Bosher said, that Pratak Vruti, the fellow will become happier and happier because next time he is buying things more cheaper. He will get more number of shares at the resources what he has. Because he knows, he has the conviction that tomorrow is going to be a bright tomorrow. Unless you don't have this conviction, forget about it. This is not the market for you because you will be working for us. Because it is these two weaknesses which makes people to earn money out of you. That is greed and fear. When it is time to sell, you feel that it is always going to be better tomorrow. One of my very close relatives, he came rushing to me. He said, Harshad, what do you suggest? How can I make money? I got terribly. I said, only one thing you do. Always buy cheap and sell dear. I said, it's a great theory. સસ્તું લેવાનું અને મોંઘું વેચી નાખવાનું. મેં કીધું હવેથી તમે આ રીતે જ વર્તજો, તમે સસ્તું લેશો અને મોંઘું Very so, you will make money. He did not dare to ask me, कि सस्तु क्या लेंगे भाई? मोंगू क्या लेंगे? Because he got the answer कि मोंगू जा रहा है तो क्या लेंगे? बहुत सस्तु लागू थू. અને જ્યારે સસ્તું ખરેખર થયું ત્યારે જગ્યા નથી. So, tip for the day, buy cheap, sell dear. As for the industry, I see that for next 3 years, I agree with Mr. Tarshi Gosar that finance companies are going to do extremely well. Those ones who are rightly managed. Sorry, there may be more number of FIRs on me if I give the names. It may be probably a criminal act, so I will not like to have more. I have enough on me. Also look towards those industries which are just not export oriented, but be careful that they are net export only. It should not be that way that they are depending quite a lot on imports as well as on exports. Third, with higher central outlay, although it's my most favorite industry as known, that is cement industry, I feel it is giving again a good opportunity. And added to that, the other industry one can look towards is the power industry, power sector. At lower levels again, para companies. But now one analysis I have made, one need to change the habit now, not constantly look towards the secondary market, but now with the kind of force or the kind of number of issues are coming up, the opportunity in primary market, it may come under follow. I just got it analyzed. There were total 100 companies which were quoting between 8 and 10 rupees, 8 rupees and 10 rupees. There were 47 companies quoting between 6 rupees and 8 rupees. And there were 17 companies which were quoting between 4 and 6 rupees. And the history of those 17 companies, out of that we picked up 10 companies. Those 10 companies in last 3 years has once touched, almost all companies has touched more than 35 rupees. So what I am trying to come to a point is that if you go for issues which are good company issues, which are being offered at 10 rupees, you have a very little scope of losing your money. Out of more than 3,500 scripts listed on Bombay Stock Exchange, only hundreds are between 8 and 10. So your downside risk is just 20% in the worst of scenarios. But those companies, it's very easy to go from 10 to 20, 30, 40. Doubling your money in those scripts will be much faster then. And not only that, again the analysis of that all those 4 to 6 rupees companies has touched 35. So in 3 years to 5 years time, any and every company gives you the opportunity to earn back your interest as well as the capital, even if you have entered into a worse decision. Thank you.
adjourned.